Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Just making sure I'm not going to become roadkill as I step on the road. But I hope everyone is doing well. And I know there are some people who, as much as they love me roasting Kier the Traitor Starmer over a fire, would rather me focus on Sadiq Khunt and Mark Rowley. To which I say, don't you worry, my friends. They will get what's coming to them soon enough. I promise you that much. It's just that Kier the Traitor Starmer just keeps on fucking up even more every single day, it seems. Including the fact that Kier the Traitor Starmer even forgot he's Prime Minister. Not once, not twice, not even 3 or 4 times, but 5 times. He referred to Rishi the Slippery Sunak as the Prime Minister. And it begs the question, has this guy got any fucking idea what he's doing? Now, thankfully, there is a plan to have a vote for this winter fuel payments thing. So, at least we're not completely screwing the elderly yet. But I suspect they'll find some way to pass the motion. Now, I'll also mention something else as well. Somebody tried to point out that there's not this rule of they have to claim asylum in the first safe country they get to, the illegal immigrants, by the way. However, what they forget, which they accuse me of gaslighting, well, I'd need a pretty big lighter for that shit, the amount of gas I produce. Anyway, they try to accuse me of gaslighting. But here's the thing. Even if you could say that I was wrong on these people having to claim asylum in the first safe EU country they get to, a lot of these people throw away their passports, throw them into the rivers and what have you. And you know what it says under law? These people have to show either a special visa or paperwork, or they basically have to show entry documents like a passport. And if they don't, they can face up to 4 years in prison. Or is it at least 4 years in prison? Doesn't change the fact they're crossing into the country illegally. And what I find funny is this NPC who brought this up even tried to say, but people like you, Nigel, Tommy Robinson, you don't deal in the facts, do you? Well, put that one in your pipe and fucking smoke it. But what I find particularly funny is the Independent are trying to put out an article trying to say, how well has Kier the Traitor Starmer done over the last 2 months? I don't think you really need me to tell you that, do you? What's that? You want to hear me roast him some more? Alright, then I'll do that, just this once, mind you. So let's start off with the most obvious one. The fact that Kier the Traitor Starmer was more interested in locking up people for posting memes rather than people who are going out attacking police officers, which in and of itself is pretty bad. But let's go a step further. Let's also make mention of the fact that Kier the Traitor Starmer was one of the main people stoking the flames of these riots by saying that he will basically do everything he can to protect the Muslim community and all of the mosques, which some of you might even argue you could say the mosques are weapon depots now, since we've already had the police come out and say to the people, we'd advise you to put your weapons back in the mosques so they don't get confiscated. They wouldn't do that with the people on the supposed far right, would they? So that's another one under Kier the Traitor Starmer's belt. Then let's go on to talk about the fact that he doesn't even know what a woman is. Well, last time I checked, a woman, I believe, has like 2 sets of chromosomes or something. They're supposed to be XX, while males are supposed to be XY. And women are supposed to have tits and a fairy cave, while men are supposed to have, well, Tom, Dick and Harry. In this case, literally. And technically, I could class as both, considering I have got a pair of tits myself. Anyway, the point is, Kier the Traitor Starmer can't tell us, and nor can Sadiq Khunt, what a woman is. So we're 0 for 3 right now, Kier the Traitor Starmer. Do you want any more evidence, Independent? Or are you going to call it quits? What's that? No mercy? Alright, fair enough. Let's talk about the fact that, as I mentioned a little while ago, he has said he would do everything he can to protect the Muslim community and the mosques. So, what does this come under? Sectarianism, which also unequivocally makes Kier the Traitor Starmer a racist as well. even though you can't be racist against religion, what you can be is racist against white people, gay people, and other such people, etc., etc. Don't forget how Islam wants to take women as sex slaves, which is something the media won't tell you. 4-0 to me, I think, Kier the Traitor Starmer. Now, for number 5, let's talk about the fact that you are taking political prisoners. Let's talk about the fact that there are people who are in their elderly ages getting arrested and pulled off the streets just because they shout at a dog, or they grit their teeth at the police, or the fact that they don't want their kids, I don't know, getting stabbed in the face. So, you're not willing to protect our children. You're willing to arrest people who are concerned patriots and parents, but you won't arrest Muslims attacking police officers, or the pro-plasticine law, unless they attack your people. And even then they usually get let off without charge. So that's 0 for 5. Let's talk about the winter fuel payments, which, while you are getting a vote for at this point, so at least we're not completely screwed yet, doesn't change the fact you've considered it. It doesn't change the fact that you and your little cronies, Kier the Traitor Starmer, have gone out of their way to consider taking money from the elderly to house illegal immigrants, to fill this 22 billion black hole that you lot claim, which was all created by your hands anyway. That's 0 for 6. Then let's talk about the immigration issue. The fact that you have agreed the free movement of people with the EU. So you're effectively trying to undo what the Brexit vote should have done. And while I do compromise that a lot of the migration was still happening because we had spineless politicians, Ramonas, leading the HMS Brexit, it doesn't change the fact that Kier the Traitor Starmer could actually be the person to put us on the right track, but he hasn't. Which leads me to point number 8, before we make him 0 for 8. The fact that he is trying to overturn a Brexit vote in the first place and try and get us back into the EU is nothing short of treacherous. It is nothing short of betrayal. It showcases the man is literally willing to stick a middle finger up at the British public who voted to leave the European Union. 17.4 million people voted for Brexit. Yes, you could say it was a close vote, but here's the thing. The vote was over. And I guarantee you, if Ramonas had their way and it was 52 the other way, they wouldn't have wanted another vote. Guarantee it. They wouldn't be bitching and complaining. So there you go, Independent. I've given you 8 fucking points to show you why Kier the Traitor Starmer is the worst Prime Minister we have ever had within that span of 2 months. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because, say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. Of course every media outlet is going to be going over to Kier the Traitor Starmer's ring piece to kiss ass. They're going to do that because they basically don't want their messiah degraded, slandered, or put on the spot, when that is basically what being a PM is all about, where you sit there, you take the criticism, you take the feedback, you listen to what people are saying, and you enact the wishes of the British people, rather than put a knife in the back of the British people and say you're only going to serve one section of them. As I said, that makes Kier the Traitor Starmer a fascist, a tater, or maybe I was right first time, a fascist, a dictator, a Nazi, and a sectarianist bastard. And that is always going to be how I see the man. And it is how a lot of my viewers and subscribers are going to see him. Because they can see, through me presenting that thing that's very important when you want to have the truth on your side, called facts. That's what happens when you have facts on your side. You're able to put people like Kier the Traitor Starmer in their place. But let's not forget about 2 other people. Let's not forget about Hamza Useless, who tried to bring in the hate crime laws, and Sadiq Khunt, Those two are a good Muslim couple if ever I saw one. Even though in Islam, if you're a homosexual or homosexual couple, you're basically looking to be stoned to death or thrown off of a really tall building. That's something that Sadiq Khunt conveniently forgets when he's promoting Pride Month or LGBTQ values. He conveniently forgets that his Muslim brethren will not take very kindly to that shit because it goes against what it says in the Quran. Why else do you think that these people who are like queers for Palestine are getting a huge dose of reality when one of these Islamic leaders is basically coming out and saying you will be punished with the death penalty? I mean, if I had that shit, like if I was a homosexual and I found out about that shit, I'd be like, oh, you know what? You can go fuck yourselves then. I'm not supporting you anymore. Like, that's the way I look at it. I sure as shit wouldn't want to be a part of an intolerant ideology that basically calls for the death of non-believers and apostates, that throws gays off of buildings, sees women as sex slaves or worse, second-class citizens, or actually the other way around, second-class citizens or worse still, sex slaves, and they basically think that women shouldn't be able to have work. And here's the thing as well. 2/3 of Muslim women in the United Kingdom are unemployed scroungers. Don't just take my word for it. There are women, Muslim women, who are being caught out basically saying, thank you for funding us. Thank you for footing my bill so I can sit at home and do fuck all. And if I can find that one particular clip that I have got my eyes on right now, I will link it in the description below. Just bear in mind that Islam has also had, obviously, Anjem Choudary, who, in his early days of being caught out on inciting hatred towards the British people, he was telling jihadists to claim jihadi seekers allowance. Yes, encouraging criminals to get benefits they frankly don't deserve. And isn't it illegal to fund a terrorist organisation last time I checked? So you could say that our benefit system was directly funding terrorism. What say you, Kier the Traitor Starmer? What say you, Sadiq Khunt, about your Islamic friends? Bearing in mind, Sadiq Khunt, you actually were seen sympathising, or at least supporting, a family that one of their members was a fucking 7-7 bomber. Yes, this man, Sadiq Khunt, had connections with a family linked to one of the 7-7 bombers, which is something, of course, the mainstream media will not dare to tell you. How long do you think it would take the British public to realise that their London mayor was basically sympathising with terrorists in one of the worst terrorist acts in the United Kingdom? Yes, I wonder when the London mayor was going to come clean about this. Oh, actually, he tried to dismiss it, and he did successfully, saying that it's basically Islamophobia. So apparently it's Islamophobic to bring up somebody's terrorist connections. Yeah, I call bull on that one. It does beg the question, folks. Why is it we're allowing people who are sympathising with terrorists to run in positions of power? Why is it that Islam wants to subjugate everyone? Why is it they want to actively go out of their way to tell us how we should dress, how we should conduct our way of life? Do you see us doing that with Muslims? No, you don't, because we have something called principles. If someone wants to wear a hijab, they have the right to. If they don't want to wear a hijab, they should have the right not to. Likewise, if I want to go with a cap on, I should have the right to do that, and vice versa. The only time I will advocate against people wearing certain things, or in this case not, is if they're naked. And believe you me, you don't want to see me naked, ever. I think that in and of itself should be charged as a war crime. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is Islam is always trying to tell us what we should and shouldn't do in our own damn country. Do you think we'd be doing that in their country? Like hell would we? We'd be respecting their customs and beliefs. But Islam does not, because they're a warrior religion focusing on subjugation and conquering other places. I'll put it in another way for you. Muslims go out and attack other ideologies. They attack Christianity, they attack any religion that doesn't fit with their narrative. They attack women, they attack themselves, because they will often kill people who are apostates. They will basically go after anyone that goes against their Quran, their prophet, their beliefs. Again, the mainstream media won't tell you that. It is amazing, though, that Sadiq Khunt can keep this all hidden from us. I have to give him some credit there, that he has at least been able to keep it hidden for this fucking long, bluntly speaking. We really need to get these people out and expose them. We need to put these people out in the light, and we need to expose the toxic ideology that is Islam, how it is completely incompatible with Western society. They can barely be compatible with themselves, let alone us. So it does stand to reason that we should start looking into Islam a lot more deeply and with a lot more scrutiny. The same ideology that Kier the Traitor Starmer wants to protect. The same ideology that he is being a sectarianist bastard over. The same ideology that Sadiq Khunt, if there's even the slightest bit of criticism, he screams at the top of his lungs, Islamophobia! Even though there is no such thing as that would imply an irrational fear of Islam or Muslims. Right now, a lot of people do not have an irrational fear. They have a very rational fear of getting stabbed, getting acid attacks. They themselves suffer from honor killings. There are Muslims that go out of their way to threaten others if they dare to criticize Islam. There are people that go out and commit terrorist acts in the name of Islam. Lee Rigby needs no introduction. The 7/7 bombings, how they can use a car, drive into London Bridge, try to run people down, then come out with knives to try and stab people. Do you see Christians do that all the time? I don't. You see more attacks from Islam than you do Christianity, Buddhism, Hindus, atheists, the whole 9 yards. You will see way more attacks from Islam than other religions. Again, the mainstream media don't want to tell you that. It goes against their narrative. People may not like hearing that, but it's the cold, bitter truth. And the cold, bitter truth does not care about people's feelings. If you want to worry about your feelings, go talk to the emotion police, who are very clearly there to stop people from posting things on the internet they don't like. Or why don't you give Kier the Traitor Starmer a call? I'm sure he'd be happy to sympathize with you and your hurt feelings. As I always say, folks, I don't sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I'm not going to mince my words. I'm going to say it how it is, and I'll do my best not to bullshit you. I'll try that again since there was a lot of noise. But I will not sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I'm not going to mince my words. I will say it exactly how it is, and I will not try my best not to bullshit you. If you want bullshit, Kier the Traitor Starmer and the Labour Party will be happy to serve you. They have spare bucket loads of it. I'm surprised the establishment doesn't stink of the stuff, and stink of corruption, of course. And you know what? Let's bring this back to the winter fuel payment again, just for a moment. Even if you're left or right or centre of politics, I think the vast majority of people would sympathise with the elderly at the fact that Kier the Traitor Starmer is potentially going to get rid of the elderly's winter fuel payments. The mere idea of it is disgusting. The actual potential reality of it, even more so. But that's the thing. We have politicians who care more about an intolerant death cult ideology than the ordinary British people who his duty is to. It's sad that we're literally giving migrants and foreign aid to the tune of £117 billion. It is sad that we're giving that much money away to people who we don't know. We can't control who comes in because clearly they can't be bothered to check passports and what have you, or check their criminal backgrounds, and people that basically pose a potential threat to national security. So I beg the question, why isn't it that Sadiq Khunt, Kier the Traitor Starmer, and all the others who are involved in dealing with this migrant issue, why isn't it none of them have been arrested for threatening our national security? Nah, we'd rather not arrest them. We'd rather arrest people who post memes on the internet. We'd rather arrest people who growl at a dog. We'd rather arrest people that are concerned for their kids. I mean, need I say more, folks? We have a dictator in power that would rather arrest people for what they believe in, even when they're in the safety of their own home, or sorry, should be the safety of their own home. You can't even think things now, because otherwise Kier the Traitor Starmer will send the boys round. That's the sorry state of affairs we're in right now. This is 1984 personified. This is the nightmare of Orwell made manifest. All because we have power-hungry politicians, fascists, in the Labour Party that would rather sink this country than save it. And we need to remove them. Thank you. We need to remove these traitors from their houses of parliament. Oh, sorry, treachery. We need to remove these people from 10 Downing Street and wherever the fuck the mayor lives when he's doing his office duties, not his personal home, let me be clear. We need to get rid of these people. They are clearly not healthy for us. They are clearly not doing this in the interests of the British people. They're doing this, oh, and I nearly walked face first into a bar. Anyway, no, an actual bar, not a pub. Anyway, we have people that are more interested in arresting people just because of what they think, what they say on the internet, or even people doing videos like I am right now, or people that are showing the riots. Where they should be focused is fast-tracking the people who are committing real crime or are carrying around knives in our country. When we had stop and search, lo and behold, knife crime wasn't that high. As soon as we got rid of that, bam, just like that, knife crime skyrocketed, especially under Sadiq Khunt. Oh, but don't worry, guys. Terrorism is part and parcel of living in a big city. Don't worry, guys. DEI, diversity, multiculturalism, inclusion, and equality. DEI is our strength. No, diversity is not our strength. It's what makes us weak. We need to get rid of intolerant ideologies and intolerant people so that we can actually have some peace in this country once more. We need to start getting control of our borders. We need to lock down the borders in particular. Lock them down, take out the trash, metaphorically speaking. Only once we're able to stand on our own 2 feet, then and only then should we start looking after other people. Not when we are barely able to keep ourselves up ourselves. Like, who here right now thinks it's a good idea to house illegal immigrants that have no legal or human right to be here, have no background checks, so they're a significant threat to national security, that literally want to sponge off our system and are intolerant of our beliefs? Do you hear the crickets? That's because anybody worth their salt is not going to tell you that they want this. Likewise, if we were asked, do you want uncontrolled immigration, hundreds of thousands of people could come, the British people would categorically tell you to fucking do one, bluntly speaking. That's the thing. We have dictators in power who are more interested in getting the Muslim vote and housing migrants rather than taking some of the 300,000 plus people that are homeless on the streets, including veterans. Where is the common sense in that shit? Seriously, where is the common sense? Right, I needed that. Anyway, where's the common sense? Seems to me like it all fucked off to another country. But surely, if we have a mayor who is linked to terrorists, why is he not out of power? Begs the question, doesn't it? Likewise, if we have Kier the Traitor Starmer literally committing crimes against humanity in breach of their human rights, Article 10, if we have a Prime Minister that is screwing our national security, why has he not been arrested yet? The same man and the establishment that want to hunt down Elon Musk or Tommy Robinson. I'll let you think about that for a moment. But at the end of the day, Kier the Traitor Starmer has a lot to answer for. A hell of a lot. I have never known a Prime Minister to potentially be in breach of so many laws and has so much hatred aimed at him. I have never seen anybody in the extreme amount of trouble that he's in. And yes, I am using the word extreme. And unlike these NPCs who throw out these buzzwords like far right and racist and fascist and Islamophobe, can't forget that one. Unlike those NPCs, I actually make sure I have weight behind those words. When the left use these words, it's practically like a rubber bullet that it might hurt a bit, but it bounces straight off again. In fact, you could say they're low-powered rubber bullets, because they practically have no substance about them. They literally have no weight behind them when the traitors and the left-wing NPCs use them. That's the thing. I've always made sure that when I say something, it's because I actually fucking mean it. And there needs to be some force behind it. Like the sort of shit like, I'm grabbing a sledgehammer and I want to fucking pound the wall down. Because at the end of the day, I know what my words can do. I know just as much as Tommy Robinson can, Richard Inman can, Maya Toosey can, Carl Benjamin can. I know my words can galvanize a nation. I know my words have the power to make movements happen. To make things happen that Kier the Traitor Starmer can only dream of have happened to him. That man, once a traitor, always a traitor. And last time I checked, as I said before, back in ye oldie days, traitors were killed. Same for World War II. You desert the army, you were shot. Because they saw you as someone who is turning their back on their country and their beliefs. So it stands to reason we should follow the same procedure legally with Kier the Traitor Starmer. We need to bring back the traitor law. The one that Tony the war criminal Blair rescinded so he couldn't be put on charges for it. I believe he was even the one who also got the death penalty removed from that shit. Because he wasn't a big fan of dying in the name of treachery. Says a lot about the man. But we need to bring that back, make the death penalty a thing, And then we need to see Kier the Traitor Starmer fall from grace. Well, I say grace loosely, that's an offence to grace. Needs to fall from his seat of tyranny. Because pride does come before a fall. And Kier the Traitor Starmer, as well as Sadiq Khunt, are most definitely due a fall. Their treachery, their deceit, their dishonesty, stroke one, their dishonesty, and their maligned, malicious intents towards the British people. It needs to be called out. And right now, if I recall correctly, let me just check the time. If I recall correctly, that petition I mentioned about Kier the Traitor Starmer has reached 400,000 signatures. It's a shame it hasn't gone higher, quite frankly. But realistically speaking, I've mentioned it before as well, I don't think the petition's going to do shit. Because at the end of the day, he's probably going to look at that piece of paper. In fact, I could probably demonstrate it now. Like, as soon as he gets the paper, he's going to take one look at it, and he's going to rip it up. And sorry, that's my HelloFresh subscription gone. Anyway, he will take that petition and he will rip it up. Because that is basically what the man thinks of us. He sees us as ants. I'd almost go as far as saying vermin. But we all know who the real vermin are. The ones who are inbreeding with their cousins. The ones who are screwing over the country. Committing postal electorate fraud. Committing acts of terrorism in the name of Alan's snack bar. The ones who are going out of their way to show sympathy towards Hamas and pro-plasticine when they call for the genocide of Jews. I think there lies the real vermin. And I know people are not going to like me using that word for Islam, but at the end of the day, I've mentioned it before when I said, if moderate Muslims are not going to come out and condemn the terrorists in their group, then they are effectively complicit through omission. Somebody in the comments even said that Islam is the snake in the grass and the moderate Muslims are the grass. I want to see some more moderate Muslims out there who have actually got the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to be able to challenge Islam and to challenge their completely incompatible death cult society and say, you know what? What you're doing is fundamentally wrong and I cannot stand with you on this. I want them to say that regarding terrorism, regarding the grooming gangs, regarding their intolerance towards gay people and women. I want to see them do that. And maybe then I'll change my mind. But until such time, I will agree with that person and say they are both the snake in the grass and the grass itself. Because that's the cold, bitter truth. And like in Full Metal Jacket, as I believe Mel Gibson once said, life's just one big shit sandwich and we all got to take a bite. So I wonder when Kier the Traitor Starmer will be relieved of his position and impeached. I wonder when Sadiq Khunt will be arrested and charged with terrorist sympathizing. I wonder when Hamza Useless is going to be charged for funding terrorism by effectively sending money off to Plasticine or Syria to basically support his family. How he's supporting Gaza. Hear that? The sound of silence. To finish this off, I want to remind you people that they are trying to silence us because we dare to question the establishment's narrative. They want to arrest us because we are concerned for our kids that are being murdered in front of us by illegals. and intolerant death cult extremists from Islam. They want to silence us for anti-establishment rhetoric, which could extend to anything. If I wave a Union Jack, I can be arrested. Speaks for itself, doesn't it? We've already had some people get arrested for waving a Union Jack, the symbol of our country, but they're willing to allow people who are flying Palestine flags to go uncontested, the ones who show unconditional support to Hamas, the protests that often have people in full Hamas headgear. How do you justify that? There's a two-word answer. You can't. They always try to come after us for our views and our beliefs, and they even want to try and arrest us in our homes. They basically see us as people who have closets in our houses, loads of them, packed to the brim with skeletons. They see us as people with dozens of skeletons in our closet. And that's a scary prospect, because it means they'll come for just about anyone. But I think the real question we should be asking, Kier the Traitor Starmer, Angela Rayner, Yvette Cooper, Mark Rowley, Sadiq Khunt, since they love to wonder if we've got skeletons in our closets, let's find out how many skeletons are in their closets. And we'll soon find out who the real people are who have something to hide.